Entrando em contato com atendimento ao cliente. Para muitas pessoas é um jeito fácil de arruinar um bom dia, mas na Zendesk nós deixamos a experiência do cliente melhor. Melhor para sua avó, melhor para o seu vendedor preferido de flores, melhor para o cara do apartamento 3A, melhor para você, melhor para todos. Porque enquanto alguns dizem que o cliente sempre tem razão, nós dizemos que o cliente é sempre humano. E como seres humanos, queremos fazer algo melhor para todos nós. Zendesk, experiência do cliente com IA desenvolvida para humanos.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode, and I've got a fantastic guest for the audience, Rebecca Vickers, and she empowers teams, nurtures relationships, she strategizes for client success and creates systems that stick. And I'm really happy to have her because she's all about marketing and organization, and she's got some really very interesting ideas about entrepreneurship and marketing. So Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. My pleasure.
Yeah, so you're VP of Operations at FMO Media. So talk about what FMO Media is, how you got there, and how the audience can benefit from your story today.
Yeah, absolutely. All great questions. So I started out at FMO Media. We stand for Find Me Online Media. FMO, appropriate title when you're in digital marketing. And we are a 360-degree digital marketing agency, and we serve folks who are in the professional services. So anyone from dentists to lawyers to real estate agents and mortgage brokers beyond. We want to make sure that folks in that space and in that type of field are able to succeed online, especially when it feels oversaturated or complicated, or you're just not sure where to begin. We want to make sure that people feel that support and collaboration, and we can make it as easy as possible for people to either continue with their digital marketing or enhance and start their digital marketing from the ground up.
Yeah, I really love that. And so what there's so many directions we can take this conversation, but what was really interesting is this idea you have is you can't create in chaos. But so talk about that, because I'm really curious what that means.
Yeah, so it's something that my mom said to me when I was a kid, and I think she would say it to get us to clean our rooms. But then as we were going throughout grade school and high school, and I was homeschooled, so I heard this more than enough. The idea that you can't create in chaos, whether it's your room or your desk space or your workspace, you need to have an order about it. And everybody might have a different sense of order and organization, and that's okay. But you have to have consistency within that order so that you can free yourself up to create. We see any kind of creation, whether it's nature, whether it's our own human bodies, there is a sense of order and structure and organization, even when it feels messy or complicated. And being able to find that structure and create it can help you express yourself better, can give rise to more innovation and creativity, no matter what kind of business you are. And it's okay to be messy and to start a little bit messy, but you have to be working towards a kind of structure, because that's how you build consistency. That's how you can maintain a quality standard. And Chris, I've been really blessed in my career. Prior to coming on board at FMO about 4 or 5 years ago now, I was working in nonprofits and in creative roles in marketing, as well as an artist and actor. And one of the things that I've been able to provide and learn along the way is how do you build those systems, and how do you help create structure where either there's room for improvement, or you have to adapt and change and restructure, or maybe there was no structure to begin with, and you identify a place and a space for more organization. And when I started at FMO, I started as a digital marketer, so I was able to leverage my marketing skills to help us grow and to grow myself. And then I was also able to tap into the organizational management side of things and figure out how can I help contribute to the system that we have so that we can grow and scale even larger. And blessed with an incredible team. Got to give them a shout out, because it wouldn't be the same without a team. So you have to have a team that understands the same need. And I do believe that we all have that innate desire for some type of order, we might not have it as a default. It might not be our natural inclination, but I have seen more people blossom and grow from having a type of organization in their work life, in their professional life, and in their personal lives as well.
I love that. The reason why I asked you, and because I wanted to give you a chance to answer, was because, for example, like one of my nieces, she's business, and you look at her, you like her desk and everything. It's like super. It's like very organized. You got all this, and then another niece, she's very artistic, and she's just very creative, and you look at her room and everything is just kind of everything scattered, but she knows, like, so that's why I was just curious. You see these like Jackson Pollock, his studio is just like but he's created some of the most magnificent paintings. So the other question I have is, so you talked about systems setting you free and constant steady improvement. Talk about I love this, bad bosses, great leaders. What does that mean?
Yeah, so, and I think it actually kind of coincides too.
Yeah.
I will comment, from an artistic point of view, I come from a family of artists as well. And regardless of how you organize or order yourself, there's always a process, right? Jackson Pollock had a process as much as Michelangelo had a process. Whether it would be the most organized for us, there is still that process that develops that consistency. So I like that you pointed that out. But what does it mean to be a bad boss versus a good leader? Well, I hate to cast judgments. I don't like to judge, but I think there is definitely a differentiator between folks who are either forced into a position of authority, and maybe it's a supervisory role where they haven't really developed the leadership skills that they need to really guide a team versus dictate to a team and control a team. And oftentimes, two of the bigger factors that I've seen and observed, not just in my own past experience, but also from people I mentor or from colleagues that talk about their past roles and experience, is the idea of micromanaging versus empowering. And I think that as a leader, it doesn't matter what title you have. Anybody can be a leader, whether it's in your own workspace, a project that you're working on as a team, or you have been bestowed that title, but it's how you approach it and the mindset. And first and foremost, I like that servant leadership mindset of, how do I help eliminate roadblocks and smooth the way for my team to do what they do best? And that to me is empowering, right? And as a leader, sometimes you need to transition your leadership style to something a little bit more transformative to help the team grow. Maybe it's more of a coaching role where you're coming along beside someone and giving them feedback and giving them some different options for how they might approach their career or their work. But what we often see, or what I've seen at least in the quote unquote bad boss, is someone who micromanages, who really doesn't listen or pay attention to what the team is working on and their challenges and needs, and is maybe quick to offer advice before they are to sit back and really take in the patterns that they might be seeing or the struggles that a team or an individual is going through, and then how can they help them. So those are some of the bigger factors that I've seen. I'm sure you have your own experiences too.
Yeah, no, sometimes the bad bosses actually are great leaders because they're visionary, and they're like, that's why you have like for example, like Facebook or Meta, you had Sheryl Sandberg. She was like the COO, and she did everything, and kind of that freed up Zuckerberg to kind of think like vision long term, WhatsApp, Instagram, all these threads, all these things, so he can, and which Steve Jobs probably the same thing. So the other question I have for you is this idea of inclusion knows no boundaries. Really curious what that means in this area of woke and also DEI and all of that.
Yeah, so one of the things that I think we probably all experience as a challenge is remote work. Whether as an individual, we might have been adept and skilled and maybe had the inclination towards remote work. when you're working with a team, it's so important to establish an inclusivity and make sure that everybody is heard. Because, and I'm stealing this from someone else, but inclusivity is not simply about aesthetically do we look different, but what are our different viewpoints and our backgrounds, right? And how are we contributing to the greater good of the company and what we're doing to help our clients, our customers, the product or the service or the message that we're putting forth. So for me personally, inclusivity is about how do we get as many voices, as many backgrounds and different points of view to contribute so that we can make something better and help people be better and do better. And when it comes to remote work, that's been one of the challenges that I've enjoyed trying to navigate and figure out, because when you have a team that is separated physically, geographically, and some of our team at FMO are completely far apart in different time zones. We've got some folks in California and then other folks like myself in Atlanta, and then all the way out, we've even had some folks in Canada. Because we can be so spread out, but come together, how do we make sure that different cultures, backgrounds are respected and celebrated, and make sure that everybody feels included, even though we might not physically be in the same space? And so that to me is where we can remove the boundaries of physical space and even time and make sure that everybody does have that space on the team to express themselves and to share their insight and point of view.
And so, what are some of the systems you've created that have had a lasting impact, especially for like addressing communication barriers, remote work, virtual meetings, and approaching the challenge of combating feelings of isolation among remote team members? Like, I'm just curious, what things you have in place.
I love that question because communication is always at the heart of it, and you really have to communicate. I don't think that you can over communicate. I think you can communicate badly, but it's important to be what I call an uber communicator. So we use Slack to internally communicate with our team, and it's not simply about the work, but it's also about celebrating achievements and being there and being present when team members are going through something and they need that additional support. So I love Slack for that. One part of the system and process of that is also dividing up the channels in Slack so that they are very focused and things don't get lost by the wayside. It's very easy in communication to get confused or to lack clarity because you're having a conversation about one client over here, and then you're also facing another maybe technical challenge over here. And so making sure that people know the channels to communicate. We have very few rules in terms of communication, but having that structure is a good guide for the team because then they know what's expected when they are communicating about challenges, or having a space that they can go to personally just for them and their managers helps them know that they have a safe zone, a safe space where they can have a question, raise a hand, give some feedback, and they don't have to broadcast that to the larger team if they want a little bit of privacy there. Also, repeating to team members, because I think it's important that people hear the important messages multiple times, but letting them know that it's okay to come to you if they have a problem and come to you directly, and no sort of fear or shame in asking questions or having challenges, that we're going to work through it together and there's not going to be that judgment there. The other side of it is the celebration. So making sure we're shouting out team members and expressing gratitude. We have different hashtags we use, like Wellness Wednesday, or we'll ask polls of the group and engage with them and how they're doing or how they're feeling, or fun activities for the summer. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do that on Slack. And then having the video conferencing. Our biggest rule that we've always stuck to is unless there's something going on where you need camera off, we want to make sure camera's on and we're face to face, because we don't have that in-person connection. We want to make sure that we can read facial expressions and understand tone and have that laugh, have that moment, see the smile, and embrace each other that way on our calls versus, I know Zoom fatigue is real and we're very mindful of that, but the coldness of an avatar can really tire you out at the same time too. So we like to have a healthy balance and let the team know that you can always come in. I call it my Zoffice because it's my Zoom office. You can always pop into my Zoom office and chat with me if you need anything. anything as well. So those are a couple of the strategies and tactics we like to employ to give that communication structure.
Yeah, I love that. And you're talking about structure and to enhance creativity, productivity, as well as foster community and inclusion. So moving on, I have a question about because your thesis seems to be about mentorship and professional growth. You've had mentors play a crucial role in your career, and how do you take that and apply it to FMO and help others grow and mentor others?
Yeah, so going back to bad bosses for a second, putting this, not to call anyone out, but I have experienced folks who have maybe put themselves in a position to be my mentor, and it didn't happen naturally, and they would apply advice to me without really listening and getting to know me first and understand where my passions, my strengths, my weaknesses lie, and how I could best leverage strengths and help carve out a career path. And then on the reverse side, I've had great leaders who came alongside and coached me and would give me feedback, and I still do to this day. And I credit them and all of their wonderful, tactful yet direct, that sort of radical candor from Kim Scott approach to making sure that I have that care and safety, but I have someone else giving me the feedback that I need in order to grow. And that's how I approached it for the people that I'm helping to coach and to guide. I want to make sure that they are in a safe space where they know they can come to me for anything. But I also like to approach it from an understanding of listening first and getting to know them and asking questions to dig deeper, versus forcing myself on them as a mentor or forcing a perspective or advice that maybe doesn't quite fit what they're after. And I think it really comes down to how are you helping guide the team and their best route, not an agenda that you might have for them or a wish that I think that they should follow, but what are they looking to do? How can I give them the resources and the encouragement and the support? And then going back to that leadership idea, be that servant leader to help eliminate any roadblocks within my power to clear for them, really pave the way. So that's sort of my overall philosophy to development, and knowing that the work has to be done by them, and they're not going to want to do the work to develop themselves if it doesn't align with who they are and their values and their ultimate objectives.
Yeah, so well said. How can people find out more about FMO and follow you and check out your social media, reach out to you?
Yeah, I would love that. So FMO is fmomedia.com. You can find us there. We have just updated our website, so it is brand new and improved. Send us a message. You can find me on LinkedIn most regularly. I'm always happy to chat. I love one-on-one messages. I like to remind clients that social media is social after all. So let's connect and have a conversation, and feel free to ask me any additional questions or reach out if you need marketing help.
Yeah, and for all the audience, let's thank Rebecca for coming on and such an insightful conversation. And be sure to give her socials a like and follow. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.